Well, folks, this is going to be a bonus episode of According to Callus. You know, there are times where I wonder, am I making a good investment of my time? Is this worth the effort that I'm putting into it? And by that, I mean everything that I'm involved with politically. Certainly, it would be very easy to just walk away, to chuck it, right? To accept that the Republic is lost, that it's irretrievable, and I'm just going to go move to an acre or 10 acres or 100 acres if I had the money and just check out of society, right? I know people that have checked out by and large. I don't begrudge them that. I mean, many of them have been far more successful in business than I have, or they've earned their right to cash in. And again, good on them. I've gone a different path, right? I've always had two parts of my life. I had the political part and then the work or business part. And the two have butted heads on occasion. And at times it proves frustrating. It's like, what do I got to do to accomplish my goals? Do I need to just check out of one or the other entirely? And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm very much interested in what I do. I like my job. I liked my former career. I like my current career. I enjoy what I do by and large. So it's not burdensome, right? It's not something that I dread going to do. It's most of the time quite enjoyable. Then I look at all the political things that I do, and I got to tell you, the vast majority of it, I very enthusiastically embrace. And I feel the rush, if you will, of the interaction. I enjoy meeting, talking to people, engaging on subjects. I have bent many people's ears over the years on a variety of topics in casual conversation. My intent is not always to change their mind. My intent is not always to prove that I'm right. My intent is to have an educational conversation and a free exchange of ideas, right? So we can both go from that conversation, feel like we gained something from that conversation. The last thing I want is for me to part with somebody and go, that guy's a real blankety blank, or that guy's a know-it-all, and I don't have time for that. I always want to leave a conversation I've had with somebody that I don't know well on a good setting, right? So that at some point in the future, that person may say, hey, Steve, what do you think about this? Or, hey, I'm thinking about this. Have you considered this? Those are good conversations. That's what I want from my relationships with people. And I try and adapt that both on my business side, right? I want to treat my customers well. I want to treat the clients that are assigned to me well. I want to make them feel like I am going to do what's in their best interests, right? I'm serving my employer, and the way I can best serve my employer is to treat them well. Because happy customers are return customers. Happy customers are good customers. Now, you're not always successful. You can't make everybody happy all the time, right? Kind of a riff on the P.T. Barnum thing of there's a sucker born every minute. Well, sure. And Abraham Lincoln's reputedly had said, well, you can fool some of the people all the time, and you can, but you can't fool all the people all the time, right? So all the people can be fooled some of the time, and sometimes you can fool, or all the time you can fool somebody. You know, doing this stuff off the top of your head can be a little taxing and embarrassing all at the same time. So Abraham Lincoln was reputed to say that you can't fool everybody all the time, but you can fool some of the people all the time, and all the people some of the time. I think I got that right there. P.T. Barnum was said to refute it as there's a sucker born every minute, right? I never went into business. I never went into politics that way. I want for everybody that I deal with to feel like they're getting the real, genuine me. Sometimes in the course of relationships, you have to be a little more guarded. You have to be maybe not everything out on your sleeve. I mean, if you're everything out on your sleeve with every interaction, man, that can be tiring. I mean, we've all got friends, family members, right? That they just feel the need to unload on you every time you get together. As a matter of fact, I have a friend like that. I actually probably have more than one friend like that where I get to unload every once in a while. And it's helpful. You know, that's actually part of the benefit of having good friends, is that you have somebody you can go to and vent and let it go. And I got to tell you, the last couple weeks, there's been some of that going on both sides, right? So I look at things and I say to myself, Stephen, what do you really want to do? What do you see yourself doing in 6 months or a year or 5 years from now? And therein lies the rub. I don't have a good answer. So I have basically two forks in my future. One that's coming up quite quickly here in July or whatever. I'm going to have to make a big decision. What's going to be the next step? Do I choose A or do I choose B? And this podcast is part of that grand plan, if you will, right? So whether I choose A or I choose B, the direction I go will then dictate what I have to do next. So if I choose A and I'm successful at that, for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be fully vested in that and making the best out of that situation. If I choose B, I'm going to be fully vested in it. And I would like to tell you, that's probably a 6 to 8 year commitment on my part. And if I'm going to go all in on that, I'm going to make the most of it, that's going to change all the different plans I have for my future. I don't want to be, 80 years old and doing the same thing I'm doing now. Everybody should adapt and everybody should change and everybody should have goals. So I have my goals. I've set it out. I've got a fork in the road coming up here in about 60 days. Once I make that choice, I have to go forward and I have to go all in on one of those two choices. And then, depending on the outcome of either of those choices, then I'm going to have an additional fork on both sides. What should I do next in regards to this? Well, one of those options, right? Thinking long term, how do I get to the point where I can do what a lot of us dream about doing? Going to my little place in the country and enjoying the time, maybe having some small animals, growing your own food, doing little chores around the homestead. Or the other side is, I'm fully vested. I have all this stuff I've got going on. How is it that I'm going to be able to help preserve the republic? How is it that I'm going to rein in the abuses of our government? How is it that I can help make a difference? And it won't be me alone. It's going to be that army, right? You got to bring your army, metaphorically speaking, to force the change. So over the next, 2 months, I hope that I can spend just maybe an episode a week, 15 minutes, just talking about what I'm doing and how it relates to the direction that we're looking at going here. And, the challenge is I have a wife, I have a partner, and pretty much everything I have to do has to work with what she's doing, where she wants to be, what she wants out of our relationship and out of our life together. And I would be a very foolish man if I were to disregard the desires, the needs, and dreams of my wife. That's part of what I'm going to be working on over the next 60 days or so. Is how do we work together, and where do we see ourselves going, and how can we best accomplish that? So as I talk about this, and I bring this forward in a public manner, so I'm kind of putting myself out there, right? I'm trusting that I can gain some respect, that I can gain some appreciation for putting my skin in the game. I'm at 57 or 58 episodes now, and I'll start very shortly, the beginning of every episode, tell you, this is the episode and this is the title. The transition from doing a video intro is going to go away at some point. It served its purpose, I think. I'm getting to the point where I'm getting that traction. And ideally, I would like this to be bigger than me. I don't want it to be, this is always about According to Callus. We don't listen or hear anything other than what this dude thinks and who is he and why do we care. Well, I want you to care because I try to be objective and I try to offer just a slightly different take than what you're going to get from the average person. I try to look at it from a couple of different views, right? So you see this issue and kind of look at it from more than one angle and then maybe explain why I come down the way I do on it. And again, it's not about making you agree with me. It's making you take the time to consider it. And do you really believe this? And if I do, how does this fit in with the other things I believe and the other things that I want to do? So that requires an investment of time. It requires an investment of efforts, right? Fortunately, at the moment, it's not super expensive. You know, that is one of the benefits of having a podcast. You're out $50, $100 a month of in cost, whatever time you put into it. But as you grow and as you get larger, it can become a more expensive opportunity to grow, but you also have to offset that additional cost. And I'm not at the point yet that I want to ask people for money or I want to try and make money off my podcast. I'm more at a point is I'm still experimenting. I think I've got my pattern down. I've got kind of a flow, a general thing I want to talk about, try and make them topical. I like to be able to devote Monday to local things, what's going on in McKinney. I kind of taken the Tuesday thing and made it more about Texas, right? I want to spend time talking about those things locally and those things especially in Texas. And then on Thursday, I'm looking at making it more about a subject or a topic and spending the 25, 30 minutes just talking about it in different ways of looking at it. So we'll kind of get our news, if you will, a little commentary. And then on Friday, a lot of shows, they do like a free-for-all or, Rush used to do the Open Line Friday, right, where he'd put it out onto what the listeners were. Again, I'm not quite there. I'm not ready to turn over the show, if you will, to somebody other than what I would like to do. But at a certain point, I'm going to start looking for feedback. I'm going to start looking for suggestions. And I think I'm going to devote Friday to that. And at some point, and I'm hoping within that 60 days, I'm going to add in a regular Wednesday episode. So I'll fill out the 5-day week. And, life just gets in the way. And having to redesign my life to make sure that I have 30 minutes to an hour, 4 nights out of the week, and at some point 5 nights out of the week to get this done, really kind of cramps your style when you're politically active and working, busy job. My job is my job, and I have the highest priority to that because I have to pay my bills. This is, a project of love. And by that, I mean, I love what I'm doing here. I think this is both entertaining and informative, and certainly gives me an opportunity to practice my skills for speaking and communicating, and secondarily, transmitting ideas. At a certain point, I want to be able to comfortably sit in front of 100, 200 people and give a 20, 30, 40 hour-long talk on a specific topic or a series of issues and how they all tie together. One of the things, and I'm going to wrap this up quick, I promise. One of the things that I've noticed is in our education system, we take every subject and break it up into little bits and pieces, and we don't show how everything ties together. We don't show that there's a connection between multiple subjects and multiple ideas and how they feed off of each other and how they're integrated. And I think that's a shortcoming. And I'm not doing that to slam education. I got plenty of other things I could bring up about what I don't like about education. I look at it more of when you separate everything out and you don't see the interconnectedness and you don't see how one idea feeds off another, things get lost. Things get left behind. And I'm guilty of it too. So what I would say to you is, if you find what I'm doing worthwhile, share it. If you find what I'm doing is maybe on the right track, but not quite what you would think or what you want, it's not really there yet, then communicate that to me. Respond, send a private message, text me, send an email, call me. I want to make this better. I want to build my craft. I want to do a better job of it. And as time goes on and we start spending those episodes on Monday and Tuesday dealing with distinctly local and then Texas things, if there's issues that you want to know about or questions you have, send that information to me. And I'll take the time. I'll invest some time over the weekend to look into it and see what I can find out. And I would like to share that. I think that we all gain when we have more information. We all gain when we have a better understanding of what's going on around us. So again, if this is helpful or entertaining or just something to do while you're driving down the road, take the time, respond, share it to your friends, share it to your family. I don't think I'm asking for very much. I certainly would like to hear what you have to say. With that, this is According to Callus. This is a bonus episode, and I will see you on the other side.